You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. How we doing? How we doing this morning? It's a beautiful Monday morning. I want to talk about the Unrivaled Basketball League. And my question of the day, will Unrivaled Basketball be successful without Caitlin Clark? Will it be successful without Caitlin Clark? That's my question. I'll walk down some answers on this one as Caitlin Clark turned down $1 million. No doubt about it. Quite a bit of money compared to what the other players are getting to play in their rival league. But she made a decision, and Caitlin's got a lot going on. But here's the deal. I believe the Unrivaled League can be successful without Caden Clark. And it's a fact of matter. I can walk you down and share where am I getting this premise from and why do I believe the league can be successful without Caitlin Clark. Here's the number one thing I'll tell you, the number one difference that Unrivaled is better off with Caitlin not playing. It's much better off with Caitlin not playing because when the WNBA took the floor this season and they went down to all the national televised games, the media oversaturated and all the coverage went to Caitlin Clark. There are other players in the WNBA, but all of the coverage went to Caitlin Clark. So basically, now you have an opportunity for Unrivaled, and you're talking about the best players, no doubt about it, that are in the WNBA. They're going to be playing, and they got them lined up on teams. They got the coaches lined up. You got a couple coaches coming back in there. Andrew Wade, Teresa Witherspoon. So you got everything you want. I mean, you can look at the 6 different teams, Vinyl Basketball Club. So everything is in order for the success of Unrivaled. And it's kind of hard to make a mistake on this one when you have TNT and you have the television, right? So, they've announced the players are going to be playing. And I mean, I'm looking at the players. You got Enrique's playing, Rennie Howard's playing, Aaliyah Boston's playing, Jordan Canada, Ray Burrell, Derek Hamby under Coach Witherspoon. I mean, you're talking about Chelsea Gray's in there. You got Kalia Copper's in there, Angel Reese, Brittany Stykes. You got Lexi Hull, Zura Stevenson, and you got Coach Nola Henry going to run that. So what is Unrivaled really done? They've kind of set the stage where they can be successful without Caitlin Clark. And here's the reason why. The WNBA players, by not getting the media coverage, and it got really bad. And I kind of saw it, and I said I really felt bad for the ladies. I really felt bad for Boston or Mitchell, who was with the Indiana Fever as well, because it was basically turning into every question was about Caitlin Clark. And that's really a tough thing to do because the players are still competitors and they didn't need to go through that. Now, the same players will have an opportunity now to take the court and really just go in there and do it in a different fashion, right? Because you're going to have 6 players on every team, which is perfect. You got a total of 36 who are going to make up the total of the league. And they still need a couple more, but that's not going to be hard to find. I mean, it's not going to be hard to find. They're going to play the games in Miami. Beautiful place. But here's the interesting thing about it, and here's why Unrivaled will be extremely successful. Number one, they're going to play in Miami. They're going to play in a small arena first year. It's not a whole lot of expense going out on this one. There's a lot of money coming in, and you're going to get some coverage and you're going to get some exposure. This is really good for the WNBA players. Is they're going to be in Miami, one, which people like to visit Miami. Two, you're going to get access to the players. And when you get access, because the WNBA did not give any access to the WNBA players, and the only coverage that other WNBA players were receiving was a lot of negative media coverage, right? So now they got a chance to build the NIL, name, image, and likeness, and get to know the fans, and the fans can get to know them, and that's mission critical with this league. And these are great players. These are not players that are average players. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But and you got to look at this thing too because Paige Buchers Great job, Gino. Signed an NIL deal with Unrivaled. So the league is manifesting itself. The first year, they're going to play right in Miami. When you go back to the second year, they're going across the United States to play. Okay, they're going to go across the United States. That's what make the league successful. That's what really, really is going to make this league successful. And I really shared that every player in the WNBA, I believe, has about $1 million value off the court, 100%, and definitely would love for Unrivaled to come play in Sacramento. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if you're going to travel, I mean, the best thing Unrivaled can do is go to the cities that don't have the WNBA teams and play, because those are markets that really do love the game, appreciate the game, and there might not be in consideration just based upon the financial liability it takes to become a WNBA owner now. I mean, it's going up, right? So these players don't have a debt load. They're going to play across the United States. They're going to engage with fans. They're going to open up their access so you could look at these individuals in a different light. And these are basketball players. They're not players that are just not very good. These are some good players they got in Unrivaled. Now, here's the deal. Every player, as you know, going to make about $250,000 in plus incentives of compensation, right? Because the league, as it grows and does well and the viewership grows up. And this thing here, I'm telling you, when you get Candace Parker lurking in the background, I see you every time I show up, Candace. Candace is right in that background. And I'll tell you, the Unrivaled, okay, here's the thing. You're not getting as much money as Caitlin, but here's the thing. If this league survives without Caitlin, that is going to be an explosion for the WNBA. I repeat, when the league survives without Caitlin Clark, that's going to be an explosion in the WNBA, because it's a proving ground that Wall Street wanted to see and everybody wanted to see. Can this league survive on its own without Caitlin? That's a blessing in disguise. I mean, Caitlin has been through enough. It's fine. Okay. But here's the deal. The media has built up Caitlin well beyond where Caitlin should be. And man, it's going to get tougher for the other players to prove themselves. But I think they're up for the challenge. And you got Coach Witherspoon getting an opportunity. You got Andrew Wade getting an opportunity. And the leader of the bunch, folks, let me just explain. Phil Handy, there ain't nobody in the WNBA could touch Phil Handy. Let's be honest. That's Lakers through and through. And I hope Phil goes over there and works with the LA Sparks, Lynn Roberts, and there's a special deal that I got going on, and I see the way these align me, because I got Dejanay Carrington's going to be a perfect fit for the LA Sparks, a perfect fit. And that one there can happen, because guess who's you're going to play with in Rival? You're going to play with Rakia Jackson, right? So you got a two-court back. I think Handy might have that team. I'm not sure. I know Witherspoon's got a powerhouse team. I mean, it's a powerhouse team, right? And you got to look at this. But when you get to building this out and the camaraderie of the players, right? I mean, other than an all-star game, this is literally going to be one of the first moments the players get a lot of quality time. And you're talking about just 36. Now, what does that mean? I mean, you could get a couple college players that are going to come in and play right on through as well. But the biggest take when I look at this is Unrivaled will have success. You got a partner going on. You haven't named your grassroots partner, right? So it's an Unrivaled league, but it's not like the Nike EYBL league, right? A league is a league, and the whole thing is you signing players. And when you sign Paige Buchers to an NIL deal, that tells me exactly a little bit more than most people are looking for, right? Because if you can't have Caitlin, and this is the way it's going to go down from this point on, and the rival's going to prove their point. If you can't have Caitlin Clark, right? I mean, because what did Caitlin do? Caitlin had a great year, right? I mean, she went out there, she played basketball, 19 points, 5.7 rebounds, league best, 8.4 assists. But if you can't have Caitlin, then you got to go to the next best thing. That's Paige Buchers in the eye of what they're looking for, and that's UConn, 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 and the power of UConn. Here's where it got really interesting with me because you got Paige Bucher's got her Nike deal, right? And I know that Nike wants to do a big launch, but I heard the agent of Caitlin Clark saying Nike did a poor job. That's foul play. That's foul play. And now I could see when you do foul play like that, folks. Let me just tell you. First of all, I mean, you got Adam Zucker, you got another partner. I mean, Eric Kane did not. Caitlin Clark did not go find her. You got Swartz. You got the other partner, Zucker. You want to go look this up and see who they represent. They represent some high major names. And, I listen to Kate. I mean, you could build this deck. I could tell you guys, you could build this deck as high as you want to build it for Caitlin Clark, right? You could build it as high as you want to build it. But if you don't meet those expectations, man, you're going to crash just as fast. And that's what they talked about in the movie Air, right? Because I'm listening to the sports AD Kane. Well, we're going to put on a level of Serena Williams. You can't do that. You cannot do that. The Williams sisters started at 14, 15 years old. Okay. And they went and won for 20 years. You go, okay, Tiger Woods, you got to be cautious because if she doesn't hit that threshold, then that's going to be a problem because Tiger won the Masters. He came out early and took it down by a 22-stroke lead. That the only thing left for Caitlin to do is go win the WNBA championship to get on that plateau. Because if you never win the championship, then you never can be the greatest. But I think it's time for us to peel that back off of Caitlin Clark. Okay, I really do because I came into the WNBA open wide eyes, watched a lot of Indiana Fever games, and Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player. Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player. But let me just clear something up. Caitlin Clark is not the best basketball player to ever play in the WNBA. Let's not do that, right? You got Diana Taurasi, you got Maya Moore, you got Candace Parker. Let's just not do that. Then on top of that, because the media was so saturated, and the only game I watched Indiana Fever. I've had time to go back and look at the players' league. Kate Clark's not even the best player in the WNBA. If you look at the scouting report, she's not even the best player in the WNBA. She's the most popular player. She's been saturated with media, but I'm looking at Rennie Howard. Goodness gracious. 2022 Rookie of the Year. Unbelievable player. I'm looking at this player like you got to be kidding me, right? And we never even mentioned her name. We never even mentioned her name. You got Enrique you saw in the All-Star game. You never mentioned her name. There are so many good players that the fans are going to become attracted to. They're going to get to know them. They're going to feel good about them because these players have played in the Olympics, but now it's going to be the new breed's time. And you got players like Drew Lloyd. I mean, Drew Lloyd is an exceptional player. I mean, folks, you have so many exceptional players that are in the WNBA that the media, this is what got me. The media never even mentioned their name. They never even talked about them. Why? Either they're in a small market city, that's why nobody wants to go to Dallas Wings. They need to do an equity raise. They need private equity to get more money because you can't end up marketing that in the right way. And you got to look at that and say, Unrivaled is going to be able to have success, okay? And once the league starts, folks, there's not a whole lot. See, when you start a league, the number one thing in the capacity size, right? Here's the number one thing you want to look at in your revenue and expenses. They're not spending a lot of money on a facility, right? You got a facility that seats 800 people. Great. We got a court that we could put in there custom made. That's pretty easy to do. I mean, I did that for years with Gabby Williams' father, Matt Williams. I mean, he put all courts in business. I mean, he put them in, Cal Expos. He put them in rodeos. I mean, you can put a court down just about anywhere, right? So you don't have a high budget. And here's the other thing that really, the Unrivaled has got really, it's only 36 players in there, which they're going to be more, but you haven't even got to the merchandise, right? They're going to sell a lot of merchandise too, believe it or not. I mean, those are arenas. So now you look at it and you say, well, if Unrivaled 36 players make up the league, if they have success, okay, without Caitlin Clark, because in the end of the day, I can tell you how this one's going to work out. And it's Money Mike. I always give you my opinion. You guys know I always tell you it's my opinion, but if it turns to truth, okay, I'm giving you the facts way before it happened. And the way this league is going here, Caitlin Clark's going to need Unrivaled before Unrivaled will need Caitlin Clark. I'm gonna be the first to lay that out. Call me goofy, call me crazy, but I'll tell you this: Caitlin Clark will need Unrivaled before Unrivaled needs Caitlin Clark. Because once this thing kicks off, I'm telling you, the market for it and the talent and the access and communication is going to be different. And Unrivaled is going to go in. I mean, it's nothing stopping players from having an Unrivaled league. You can move this into an Unrivaled college league. You can move this into an Unrivaled high school league. You can keep going and going and going with Unrivaled. And at the end of the day, they got superstars. And these are superstars. As I start looking down the line at the players, and I said, wow, okay. And that was a strong statement. I mean, generational player, okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But you know what? I mean, you got Juju Watkins, greatest basketball player in the world. Okay. That's a 6'3" load that ain't nobody gonna be able to deal with. And that's where I see the guards going in the WNBA. They're gonna be 6-footers, 6'1", 6'2". And the league's gonna get younger. The league's gonna get younger, younger, younger. This will be the first time in the WNBA draft that you're going to draft players that could shoot 40% from the 3-point line, right? You could shoot 40% for the 3-point line. So guess what? You're going to have players who finish in college, they could play in Unrivaled League too. There's a lot of ways to go about getting the right players, but this one has all the WNBA talent. I get it. Plum didn't want to play. You can have a couple players miss. Folks, that's not hard to do. And with Unrivaled, here's the deal, and I'll tell Candace, and I mean, you got Brianna Stewart and everything. When you lose a player, just go get an HBCU player. Go get an HBCU player. And here's why you go get an HBCU player, because you're going to have a lot of fans and a lot of eyes on that player. Unrivaled. Money Mike giving you the gold mine to the gold mine of the standard. When you go or need players, make sure you get a couple HBCU players. Atlanta Dream, you need HBCU players as well. And I don't care if they play or not, they better be on your bench so those fans will fill you up every night, right? Because as a rival, man, it's going to be deeper than just going with the pros, right? Because this is access. You got other players who want, you got Special K who watched the other night. I mean, you got a lot of talent out there, but Unrivaled, it's a different game. That the league is going to be successful without Caitlin Clark. There's no way to stop it. I mean, you got TNT, you got another bank on board, which is relationships for other banks. They got finance, and you got State Farm on board. And once you start getting national sponsors, the rest are coming. They're going to put patches on the jerseys. They're going to do everything the WNBA did, except this is like the music business. They don't have to be a major label. Okay, in a major label, you have to sell 20 million records. The WNBA and the attendance sold 20 million records. And what did the players get from it? Zilch. Very little money. Okay, but they sold 20 million records. Now, guess what? They can go over there and sell 250,000 records, not 20 million, and make $4 million because the revenue stream, the revenue expenses, the efficiency, the merchandise, the fans, the activeness, the speaking engagements. Unrival's going to pitch more than just a game of basketball. And I think that's where everybody's missing it, thinking Unrival's just going to play basketball. Oh, no, 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 no. Money Mike, WNBA players in the Unrivaled League, I see it a mile away. Okay, you're going to really see the heart and soul of these women, right? And this is an old country tale, but it's true, okay, in the African American community. Okay, the only thing worse than a scorned woman, okay, I'll tell it straight as it comes, and I stay on my side of the tracks. The only thing worse than a scorned woman is a scorned black woman. Okay, I'm gonna say it again: a scorned black woman. These women have been scorned, they have been hurt, they have been brutalized, they've been verbally abused. Okay, all because of they're not an individual player or they compete against a player. But here's the news for this one. Unrivaled's not playing in Indiana. All right, that you don't have to worry about that. Unrivaled is not going to Indiana, so they can go around the United States, and I guarantee you, it's just like making a tour around the United States. And by the time they get done, they're gonna bring a whole lot of fans with them. They're gonna bring a whole lot of energy with them. They're gonna bring a whole lot of love with them. You're gonna see a lot of hugs to people, players, to fans. You'll see a whole lot of different things here, and that is the reason why. Okay, because the media is not going to crush all these players and have focus on just Caitlin Clark. That's why I tell you the league would succeed without Caitlin Clark. And sometimes you're thinking you need something, but if God puts his hand on it, you don't need very much. He says, I'll supply all your needs according to the riches and glory. And all things are possible to those who believe. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. But I'm just breaking it down. You got Teresa Witherspoon going to get another shot. Coach him up, Spoons. Coach him up. Okay. You got Andrew Wade. Welcome back. And then you got Phil Handy, the best of the best. Ain't nobody touching Phil Handy, right? Players going to get about 250,000 plus incentive. So it's a show. It's a show that's going to go. And one thing you have Unrivaled, you get access to the players. One thing you didn't have in the WNBA was access to the players, right? Unrivaled's going to play it in Miami this year. Next year, they're going across the United States. And my, we got an open spot right down here in Sacramento. Let's make that one of the destinations. You know, the funny thing about it is Unrivaled put Puge Bakers under an NIL deal. I mean, you got to look at that. And you know what? Hey, it is what it is. Miami's my Miami. Okay, so who doesn't love Miami? For those who like to go out there and have fun, and they're going to put 36 players in Miami, and then there's going to be a couple alternates reserves. There's no doubt about that. Now, the players are already on Unrivaled. Just taking a look online, they're already lined up on the team. But you got all the players who play in the WNBA and the best players. Okay, I mean, you got Lexi Hole in there. You got Jewel Lloyd, DJ Carrington, Brianna Stewart. You got Vandersloot. You got Rakia Jackson, Leah Edwards. I mean, you got everybody who can play basketballs in this league, right? So this one here is going to be a different thing. Jackie Young's going to play. Satu's playing. Tiffany Hayes still kicking it. I mean, you got a lot of talent still going to kick around. They're not done. They're just starting to play a little bit more basketball, more than they actually did in the previous years, right? So at the end of the day, this thing's going to work. There's no doubt about it. And at the end of the day, rival basketball league will have success without Caden Clark. This is the best move for both parties. This is the best move for both parties because I know Caitlin's probably tired of it. WNBA players are tired of it. Now they get to test their water. If you succeed in this, I will tell you this will carry back to the WNBA because at the end of the day, you got TNT, but don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong. You got ABC, okay, sitting over there. You got ESPN. So what does that tell me? You got TNT. And you know who likes to rock and roll with TNT is CBS, right? You got a couple more. If you ever watch the NCAA tournament, you know, they got a few networks over there. Okay, and as the league grows, they can put on 2, 3 games at a time. It doesn't matter. They got enough reach to do it. And this thing's going to go Unrivaled. Money Mike's going to put it out there. We'll be successful without Caden Clark. This is a mutual benefit for both parties because it's been a tumultuous year. I mean, it's been way too much. Now let the women go play. Let them get their access. Let them build their NIL, their name, image, and likeness that was tarnished this year. Okay, was tarnished this year, according to the WNBA fans. And that came a lot because of the media saturation. I mean, the only time, and I've got a couple friends that watch the WNBA. And one of the things they said is we couldn't even see our games anymore. Okay, because every national game was Caitlin Clark. Well, you can't oversaturate it. And eventually you're going to find out that the New York Liberty are going to sell out. There's a lot of teams that are going to sell out, and you got to just go with it. The league is built to succeed. You got the partners, and once they tip it up and it goes on the 17th, there ain't no stopping it. It's all downhill from there. The hardest part is getting it in place, getting the league to the tip off, making sure that opening night kicks off really good, get good access with players, lots of cameras. And guess what? Everything else is downhill from there. So a rival will succeed without Caitlin Clark. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. We've got lots of good gear. Boy, I've been just going shopping. If you haven't looked in there and look at the affiliate programs and what they put together, I've been going shopping, folks. And if you go, I think people put 1 or 2 products in there. I'll load you up with 50 because some of that gear is good gear. Adidas has got a big sale going on and a lot of good stuff. So Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, I'm telling you, Unrivaled will succeed without Caitlin Clark. It's a mutual benefit. She's got other obligations and they need to rebuild their client image of who they are, and they're going to do it in the Unrivaled League, and this one's going to be a little bit different, but it's going to give you more access to who the players are because that's what we didn't get. We didn't get any access to who these players are, where are they from, what do they do, who are their families. All we just got into was basketball. And the game for women's basketball, it has to be more than that. So you stay tuned. We will pick it back up again, and we'll cover the Unrivaled League this year. We're going to enjoy covering that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be exciting, and I think it'll be a different brand of basketball. And I always tell you this: some players are good 3-on-3 players, and some are not. Okay, you got to be good at ball handling. You got to be good at shooting. You got to create your own shot. You can't create your own shot, then this ain't 3-on-3 is not for you. But you'll find out because a lot of these women that play, they got a lot of talent. So we'll talk about it some more. We'll cover it for the year. We'll look at it. It's going to got to kick off on the 17th. But Unrivaled, man, they're going to move forward and they're looking to have some success without Caitlin Clark. All things are possible to those who believe. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast.